Okay. You guys want to stand on point?
Whatever you want.
Come up here. Absolutely. On any side. It's great. Is everybody ready? Excellent. I'm going to take my sunglasses off. All right. All right, we're ready. We're going to start. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Going to start. I just want to thank you all for being with us here today to talk about some very important updates to the city's laws that regulate illegal camping and sitting in line on sidewalks and in doorways. Court rulings since those laws were enacted have limited our ability to enforce them as they are currently written. So updates are critical for us to meet those standards and provide the level of community expectation for the safety, health, and wellness for all who use our public spaces. We know from feedback that people are nearly unanimous in their desire for something to be done about public camping. There has been wide-ranging discussions over the past several months about how to update the separate ordinance that regulate camping and sit and lie. Those conversations, let me just tell you, have produced robust and healthy debate. And we have been working on this for several months on how to update those. Granted, there are differing approaches on how we revise the ordinance. That's part of collaboration and healthy debate. But today, based on the totality of those discussions, I am producing provisions that clarify enforcement and set expectations for the protection of public health and safety by designating specific areas where camping, sitting, or lying in public spaces is prohibited at all times, regardless of shelter availability. And I'm pleased to be joined by Council members Michael Cathcart and Jonathan Bingle, and the community members you see behind me, 50 to 60 community members who are here, who have all offered ideas and approaches to these amendments. The changes we're proposing establish clear place and time restrictions in the downtown area, in and around railroad viaducts, around congregate shelters, and along riverbanks. The updates to the separate camping and sit and lie ordinance combine the very best ideas from each of those proposals, including one made just last week by some members of the City Council that accounts for the healthy, safety, and welfare of everyone who uses our sidewalks and public spaces. So specifically, we are proposing changes to the camping ordinance that would prohibit camping at all times in and within 100 feet of downtown railroad viaducts, on city-owned park property, within 35 feet of the Spokane River and Latah Creek, within the downtown police precinct and business improvement district boundaries, and within a half-mile of city-supported congregate shelter. Additionally, the proposed updates would allow enforcement where there is congested foot traffic, fire hazard, damage to infrastructure, or any other safety hazard. We are also proposing to define congregate shelter as any private or public facility that provides short-term or communal living, which includes homeless shelters, and removes the blanket exemption when shelter space is unavailable to be clearer about time and place restrictions as required by the courts. Changes we are proposing to the sit and lie ordinance would remove specific exemptions, including homelessness. That ordinance would continue the sitting and lying prohibition in those spaces between 6 a.m. and midnight. Our camping laws have not been updated since 2018, and sit and lie ordinance since 2014. These practical updates meet the expectations established by the courts and are consistent with the vision we have for our community of safe and healthy neighborhoods and places for our families, employees, and visitors to enjoy the great city of Spokane. A lot of passion and energy has gone into these updates. The good news is that the ideas all started with the same common vision and how we each arrived there has not been that far apart. So I appreciate the efforts of Council Members Cathcart and Bingle, the community members that you see behind us, who have all contributed significantly to what we are presenting today. Their engagement, insights, and pushback ensure that we have a strong proposal focused on the interests of everyone in our community. At this time, I'd like to invite Councilmember Cathcart to come up and talk more about the time and the manner considerations that went into these proposals. He was at the center of the conversations to make sure that we're meeting the community and court expectations. So, Councilmember Cathcart.
Thank you, Mayor. So this plan creates a framework for enforcement that complies with the Martin decision at the Ninth Circuit and puts Spokane on a smarter path forward. I introduced a similar concept in April at the Public Safety and Community Health Committee, and that plan was presented to the Community Assembly in June, to the Chief Garry Neighborhood Council, as well as the East Sprague Business Association in May. The plan presents our community with an opportunity to resume enforcement under certain outlined conditions, and if approved, activities that endanger our vulnerable, unhoused populations, such as urban camping, will be disincentivized. In fact, this is in all actuality a necessary mechanism for assisting those who are unhoused and unsheltered in our community with access to services that will ultimately help them to exit homelessness. The plan increases the quality of life for our community members and businesses and will ensure safe passage for individuals of all abilities on our public sidewalks, paths, trails, and roadways by preventing these areas from being used for sleeping or lying. And as the mayor said, this has been a long, ongoing conversation that is really centered on how do we comply with the ruling in the Martin v. Boise decision. And so for the last 4 or 5 months, myself and other council members, Councilmember Bingle has been involved in the conversation, have been talking to city legal about how we can implement a policy that will comply with Martin but allow us a smarter way forward for the city of Spokane. And so as the mayor said, we've talked about different mechanisms for enforcement. So there's areas in our community where we will always enforce, areas where we're going to be able to enforce when we have enough capacity, but also if there are health and safety concerns that give our officers the tools to approach those camps and provide access to services for those individuals who are illegally camping. So I think this is a great way forward. We're still listening to more input and more tweaks might be coming forward, but I think that we've got a really good, smart plan that is going to address the needs of our community. Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you everybody for being here. I'm relatively new to city government. I know that many people far smarter and better than myself have been working on this issue for a very long time, and I was just happy that in my short time here that I've been able to be a part of this. I want to thank Mayor Woodward and at her direction, her entire administration for the countless number of hours that they have put in on this project. Lots of thought and effort have gone into this. No decision was easy. Every word of this ordinance was scrutinized to make sure that it was both good and legal to be enforced here in the city of Spokane. And so to Mayor Woodward and her administration, thank you very much for your efforts on this. I'm thankful for your leadership in getting this done because this is desperately needed in our city. I want to thank Councilman Cathcart for all the efforts that he's put in into it. As was stated, he's been working on it for months, and I appreciate everything that he's put into it, his heart and soul, and again, his mind has gone into this, and I really appreciate that. I think what needs to be said is that something that we all know and inherently understand is that it's not good for people to be living on the streets. And one of the things that this ordinance does, one of the things that I'm excited about, is that this is a way for us to help connect people to services that they desperately need. This is a way for us to help people in need find the things that they need. I was excited to be a part of this because I knew that this was going to be a very holistic approach that wasn't going to benefit one group of people over another. This is a great step forward for our city, and I'm excited to be a part, and I'm excited to see where our city goes from here. Again, to all the community members who are here, thank you again for all of your time and efforts and thoughts that you've put into it. I think this is a great day for Spokane. I have great hope for this city and the direction that it's moving.
Would like to invite any community members who are here supporting this proposal who would like to talk.
What does this mean for Camp Hope right now after this meeting?
Well, we're working on a plan for Camp Hope because we have the ability to access commerce funds at about $25 million provided for 5 counties within the state. Spokane County is one of them. And they've given us 30 days to come up with a plan to present to Commerce to access those funds to move people off the property. And this is part of legislation that was passed this last session. So, but we're not finished here. I did want to allow anybody from the community here supporting this proposal who would like to talk. Oh, great, Chris.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Downtown Spokane Partnership Board of Directors, I want to thank Mayor Woodward, her staff, and council members Bingle and Cathcart for providing us with this ordinance today. It is a very important move forward. Combined with the newly approved East Trent Shelter Facility, this ordinance will provide downtown business owners, their employees, and customers much needed support and protection that they desperately seek. Downtown needs to be a clean and safe environment for everyone and requires the protections from unlawful camping. The time has come for the City of Spokane to take the necessary action of reestablishing order on the sidewalks of downtown and around facilities which provide services for those enduring homelessness. The proposal being put forth today is the right policy. It makes clear that sitting, lying, and camping on sidewalks and underpasses in downtown is harmful not only to businesses, but to those who are living their lives out on the streets. The business impacts of tolerance for sidewalk camping have been enormous and can no longer be ignored. The DSP is concerned not only with the businesses that need immediate relief from these intolerable conditions, but it also has compassion for those who are suffering. We know, like the vast majority of the community knows, that compassion does not mean sitting idly by and permitting these inhumane conditions to persist, but instead it means taking proactive actions to reestablish the necessary limits that have been eroded over the past few years. From the relaxing of our drug laws to the effects of COVID, which have encouraged a disregard for law and order. We support this measure because it brings the City of Spokane back to doing its basic duty for all of the citizens of our community. For the business owners, the property managers, for workers who keep these businesses running and depend on their jobs for themselves and their families, and for those who are on the streets. The time is right, and the time is now for City Council to take immediate action and demonstrate that they care for the small, medium, and large businesses of our downtown Spokane that provide jobs to our residents, to our community, and that they also care for those who are suffering on our streets, to not turning a blind eye to their suffering by allowing things to continue as they have for the past several years. No more waiting to see what happens. Time is now to take action. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Katie Bruguet, and I represent Hello for Good. Hello for Good is a coalition of private businesses who are committed to partnering with others to create a clean, safe, and vibrant community in Spokane. As represented by the dozens of businesses and other community members standing behind me, we fully support this ordinance, and we thank the mayor and council members Bingle and Cathcart for their work on this important initiative. It has indeed been a great collaboration with many involved over the course of several months. I echo all of the previous comments and again reiterate that we fully support this ordinance, and we ask the full city council members take this opportunity to help us create a vibrant Spokane like we once had. Over the course of the years, many of us have said this doesn't look like the city that we once knew, and this is a wonderful opportunity to address that and regain the vibrant city for all involved. No one should be left to sit in distress in a doorway or on a sidewalk. They should be given the opportunity to get resources and support they need, and the individuals visiting those businesses and areas within our city should also have the ability to do so easily. I'll speak directly to what has been mentioned in terms of the legal aspect of this, the Martin v. Boise case. This law does comply with both the spirit and the letter of that decision. No one will be thrown into jail. No one will be forcibly removed from their families. No one will have their belongings confiscated. This will be done like the SPT does, with respect and dignity in support and enforcement of this ordinance. This ordinance also addresses our reality. When you look around downtown, we are a compact urban environment. There is no room for people to sit, lie, or camp and allow other people to do their businesses. In a recent polling study, 96% of those surveyed said that homelessness was a major issue for them. 62% of them said sitting, lying, and camping was a major concern for them as well. If you can see this in red, this is the area within Los Angeles that was designated as a no sit or lie zone. It has not been successfully challenged in court. We anticipate that our ordinance will not be successfully challenged in court as well. This ordinance is part of a multifaceted plan to address homelessness, with the goal being to improve everyone's lives within the city, and I look forward to the City Council embracing this. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, I just want to echo Council Members Bingle and Cathcart for thanking the members behind me. These are 50 to 60 members of our community who are commercial property owners, business owners, people who head nonprofits, people who work downtown, people who live downtown, that want to see the improvements that these proposals will provide for our community. Our community has been asking for this for a long time, and it's time that we step up and be the city that we know we can be, and be the city that we want to be. Council will consider this July 11th at their Public Safety Committee, and we encourage them, as we encourage the entire community, to support these proposals so that we can have a healthy, safe, clean, and vibrant downtown for everyone. So I'd like to open it up to questions, if anybody has any.
Hi, Mayor Woodward. Several council members support a version that doesn't cover quite as many areas where camping is never allowed. If they support that version instead and improve it, would you veto it?
That ordinance proposal does not go far enough. It has some of the elements of this proposal, but it does not include the downtown bid district or the police precinct district. And that's where we want to be able to see enforcement and improvement.
Martin v. Boise determines that if there's insufficient shelter space for some areas, that these laws can't be enforced in certain areas.
Right.
What determines that sufficiency, I guess? What was the challenge of navigating that? And what sort of sufficient? What does sufficient mean for the city?
Well, I think it's the density. It's the fact that our downtown is the economic engine of our region, where we have the majority of our businesses located, where we have thousands of people who work downtown and now live downtown. And the impact that we're seeing from camping and sit and lie, we can't continue to let that happen.
Does the city need a certain number of shelter beds to meet that market?
We're going to get rid of the exemption that would require us to have availability in our shelter system. Anybody else?
Mayor, you mentioned that you want to move these people into the help that they need. My question is how? I mean, people outreach over here, we're sitting right next to the public camp. How are you going to move people into help that they need if they don't want it and they won't do it on their own?
Part of that is outreach and assessment. That's a big part of moving people off of any washed-out property or under a viaduct or any of that. So that's one of the first steps. And then having the emergency housing for them to access right away, and then connecting them to the services that they need. We make it easy to be homeless. And I know that's not a popular thing for some people to hear, but we instead, these ordinances and their updates are not to push people around, but it is to push them into assistance and into the services that they need to get them off the street, out of viaducts and off of fields. We as a community have already decided that it is not humane to see people in our city living under viaducts on the street and in fields. And it is our desire to do everything. We are a compassionate community. It is our desire to do everything we can to get them connected to the services they need to move them along in their journey of exiting homelessness. We need to do a better job of that. This is all part of the comprehensive plan, the city's homelessness 2.0 plan that I unveiled back in April, and we're moving forward with it.
To follow that, do you think we have enough services? There's over 500 people on DOT land. There's multiple camps throughout the city. Do you see yourself investing in more services to help these people? Do we need to do more to make sure they can get the help that they need?
We definitely need more services. I mean, when you look at the mental health industry right now, they're experiencing a work shortage crisis. We need more substance abuse treatment programs, and the state needs to step up and offer those as well. I mean, if you look at the Blake decision that now does not allow our officers to arrest when somebody is openly using or possessing until they have had 2 chances to be connected to services, yet they didn't fund that mandate. They didn't provide the extra funding to provide the extra programs to direct those individuals to. So we need help from the state as well.
How are we going to measure this in the coming weeks, whether we're actually doing this or not? I mean, you can ask somebody to, go to a service. If they refuse, you're not going to throw them in jail, I hear, so what are you going to do?
Well, we're going to make it uncomfortable. They're not going to be able to sit and lie and camp downtown and in the areas that are designated.
As long as they keep walking, they're okay. Is that what I'm hearing? I want to see how it's actually going to work.
Well, let's give it a try, and we'll come back with some data.
Okay.
All right? And I think just the visibility of people no longer camping under viaducts and not on the washout property, 500 plus individuals.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just,
Yeah.
how are we going to measure it is my question.
Through our HMISS system is one way where we are able to, it's the name and need list. It's a name and need list. It's part of our CMIS and HMIS systems that we use regionally for the homeless, where we identify individuals, assess them, and then follow them along in their ability to get connected to services. That's one way. And we do that with youth homelessness. We do that with young adult homelessness. We do that with veteran homelessness. And in all those demographics of homeless, we've seen homelessness go down. So.
What's the earliest that we could see this ordinance potentially go into effect following the July 11th discussion?
Well, it would have to go through the regular meetings that the council will then go through. So after July 11th, it's presented in committee. And then as you follow council, you know that there are several meetings beyond that it needs to be discussed and brought up. There's public testimony, and then they'll vote, probably 2 to 3 weeks after that. Yep.
In the current version that's on the books right now, there's an exception for disability and constitutionally protected activities like protests, like the camp that was in front of City Hall a couple years ago. And this version does not have them. And so is there room for compromise and challenges outside of Martin versus Boise on the legal?
I would have to have our legal department to weigh in on that. That's not something that, yeah. Anybody else, Greg?
Will the fences stay up if an ordinance is passed? Will fences stay up under the viaducts?
We'll see. That was a pilot project. So we're going to see. They've been successful to date. But if this ordinance goes through and we see the impact that we want to see downtown, they will be removed.
One more question. So this camp over here, WSU owns the land, DOT owns that property. I've spoken with both of them who have not taken steps to move campers from their property. I guess what role will you play if the owner of the land isn't moving that, if it's not city-owned property? If that makes sense.
Well, much like the WashDOT, we'll be able to go in and still do assessments and try to connect people to services.
So if people do set up camps on property that you don't own, you couldn't have them move.
No, I can't. That's up to the owner of the property. But we can go in and offer them connection to services.
And that's what you would do at WashDOT if they don't have people move over here. You're saying that this ordinance, as it currently is, it wouldn't really affect the camps we currently have.
No, it would not. No. We're talking about city-owned park property, the downtown bid district, the downtown police precinct, viaducts, half-mile from any congregate shelter.
Do you have a comment for these large businesses, the university, DOT, who are not taking steps to move campers or encouraging them to take those steps? What is your comment?
Well, we would like to be in partnership with them to get people who are camping on their properties connected to services. That's something that we're doing with WashDOT and Commerce Department and the entire region. So we're working with the valley and the county and the city, all working together to move those individuals off, even though that's not city-owned property.
You don't think people would just set up camp somewhere else? People would realize, oh, this is not city-owned, I can go here?
Well, we have to identify first where they can't camp or sit and lie. And that's all. You cannot make every square inch of your city not allowable for people to camp. I mean, that's what Martin v. Boise says. You cannot criminalize homelessness. But we need to do a better job of identifying where it's not allowed, where it is prohibited. And that's what these two proposals hope to do. Updates. Well, yeah, that's right. Brian and I were just at the U District on Friday talking to individuals at the WSU property that you just mentioned and asking them, what would it take for you to get help? And they were very, very specific about what they wanted. And so we're taking some of that feedback into the operation of the shelter on Trent, which, by the way, July 11th will be the last thing that the council will consider in support of that shelter, and that is approval of the operators. Those that are operating that shelter, physical shelter itself, and then the support services as well. But they indicated that they don't want to be in a space that is too large. But if we can provide smaller pods within the shelter so that they can uplift their community and go in there, they would be very interested in being connected to services.
You mentioned viaducts. Do you have any plans to put fences under all the viaducts and bridges that the city is in control of?
Well, Tim, we've got them in two places right now, as you know. And hopefully, Tom, excuse me, I was close. We have them in two viaducts right now, as you know, and that's a pilot project. If this ordinance goes into effect, we won't need those fences.
That's not my question. My question is, do you plan to put fences under more viaducts and bridges?
Tom, my answer is, if we don't have people camping under viaducts, we won't need fences.
How do you plan to keep people from camping under viaducts?
I think the proposal is pretty clear.
Is it instantly, step back, is it instantly going to stop people that evening? Or do you already have some way of coordinating with the police department to have them come in that evening and have the people removed?
You mean as soon as this ordinance goes into effect, the updated ordinance?
No, I mean on a daily basis after the ordinance goes into effect.
Oh, we will be enforcing it, absolutely.
Yeah, how do you stop it on that night basis instead of the next day?
We'll just watch this play out.
Okay, so
thanks for the questions, Tom. I appreciate it. Anybody else?
If you move forward with this ordinance, I guess without shelter beds included, or at least sufficient shelter beds to accommodate all those unsheltered in Spokane, where's the expectation that these people are going to go?
Some of them don't want shelter beds. That's the reality. If we thought we had to, or had the responsibility to create as many shelter beds as there are homeless, they don't all want to go to shelters. The conversations that have been had out at the WashDOT property have indicated that. They've been very clear. So we're going to do a good job of using the system and the amount of beds that we have now by transitioning people out so that we can create space for people to move in. You will never have enough beds for every single person who is homeless. You just won't. So we have to do a better job of utilizing the system that we have right now, and that's getting to functional zero, where you have as many people exiting the system as are now entering. So you don't have to continue to build more shelters and provide more beds. That's a successful homeless shelter system, and that's the goal.
So where do you expect these people to go then, if they can't camp in our downtown spaces?
Into shelters. That's the goal, to push them into shelters and get the treatment that they need, whatever that treatment is, or assistance. Well, thank you for coming, and I appreciate all the community members who are here to support what we're trying to do. Thank you.